I arrive long after the last trace of daylight has disappeared behind the endless line where the dark sea meets an even darker sky. For hours, I have walked along forgotten mountain paths, my sandals slipping over smooth stones, made slick by rain, my cloak growing heavier with every step until it hangs around my shoulders like another layer of cold night itself. The wind has followed me since sunset. It has whispered through dry grasses, then sighed through scattered olive trees, and now, high upon these lonely cliffs, overlooking the restless Aegean Sea, it no longer whispers at all. It howls. It circles the stone heights with ancient patience, threading itself through broken columns and weathered statues whose faces have watched countless storms pass across these waters. Ahead, through curtains of rain, I finally see the sanctuary. It waits exactly as though it has always expected me. Its marble columns rise from the cliff like pale trees rooted in solid mountain, their surfaces softened by countless seasons of sea wind. Between them glows something impossibly gentle, a warm amber light, steady and quiet, breathing against the darkness. I climb the final worn stone steps, while rain streams from my cloak. Every gust presses against my back, urging me to hurry. Thunder rolls slowly across the sea behind me, deep enough to feel beneath my feet before I hear it. Far below, invisible waves throw themselves against the cliffs with tremendous force, each crash swallowed almost immediately by the endless sound of falling rain. Crossing beneath the ancient doorway feels less like entering a building than stepping into another world entirely. The storm remains outside. I remain inside. The air inside the temple immediately welcomes me with a dense, dry warmth. The massive stone walls, built by hands that have long since become dust, stand completely unmoving against the fury of the gale. The wind slams against the grand entrance, but its voice is transformed here into a low, distant hum. In the center of the vast hall, a large bronze brazier rests upon a thick stone platform. Inside it, heavy logs of old olive wood burn with a patient, steady glow. The fire does not leap or rage. It cradles deep orange embers that crackle softly, sending small, lazy sparks upward toward the shadow-draped ceiling. I unfasten my heavy, sodden cloak and let it slide away, draping it over a low, marble bench near the entrance, where the water can drip harmlessly onto the polished stone floor. The relief is immediate, washing over me like a physical wave. My shoulders lighten, and the chill that had settled deep into my bones begins to loosen its grip. Nearby, upon a platform of carved cedar wood, lies a heap of heavy, dry wool blankets, woven thickly and carrying the clean, comforting scent of dried thyme and wild lavender. I lift them with trembling, cold hands and wrap them tightly around my body, sinking down onto the dry, smooth floor beside the brazier. The warmth of the fire reaches out to meet me, touching my face and hands with gentle persistence. Outside, the rain continues to pour in relentless, heavy sheets, drumming a hypnotic, chaotic rhythm against the clay tiles of the roof far above. I can hear the water cascading down the stone gutters, streaming off the carved eaves in unbroken sheets, falling down into the darkness of the cliffs below. But here, within the circle of the firelight, everything is perfectly still. The amber glow of the embers reflects softly on the smooth surfaces of the marble floor, creating long, shimmering pathways of light that shift and dance. Whenever a stray current of air slips through the heavy doors, the shadows on the walls move with an ancient, slow repetition, rising and falling like the breath of the mountain itself. I watch the fire without thinking, letting my mind drift along with the small curls of gray smoke that rise from the olive wood. The scent of burning resin is rich, earthy, and deeply grounding, filling the entire sanctuary with an atmosphere of absolute safety. There is no urgency here, no paths left to walk tonight, no destinations that require my presence. The world outside, with all its cold distances and muddy roads, has faded into nothing more than a distant memory. Only this room exists. Only this warmth. Only this heavy, comforting stillness. The thunder rolls again across the Aegean Sea, but the sound is muffled by the thickness of the temple walls, arriving as a deep, low vibration that seems to rock the sanctuary like a secure cradle. Far below, the sea continues its endless battle against the cliffs. I hear the immense weight of the waves crashing, retreating, and crashing again. It is a mechanical, timeless rhythm that has continued for thousands of years, unchanged by the rise and fall of kingdoms or the passing of generations. The repetitive roar of the ocean blends perfectly with the steady drumming of the rain, creating a vast wall of sound that completely insulates me from the rest of the world. It is a protective barrier, a shield of water and wind that guarantees my isolation. Safe within this stone fortress, I feel an incredible weight lifting from my chest. My breath, which had been short and hurried during my long climb up the mountain, begins to slow down, matching the deep, patient rhythm of the crashing waves far below. In and out, regular and steady, as effortless as the rising and falling of the tide. The heavy wool blankets trap the warmth of the fire against my skin, creating a small, perfect sanctuary within the larger sanctuary of the stone temple. I look toward the great open doorway, where the dark shapes of the marble columns stand as silent sentinels against the night. Through the spaces between them, the world is a blur of deep blues and dark grays. The rain falls so thickly that the distant horizon is entirely lost, swallowed by the midnight mist that hangs over the water. The storm is vast, powerful, and untamed, yet it cannot touch me here. It can only beat against the outside of the stone, its fury serving only to make the warmth inside feel deeper, richer, and more complete. It is the perfect contrast, the ultimate comfort of being safe while the world outside is wild. Inside, the light of the bronze brazier catches the edge of an ancient statue standing in a nearby alcove. It is a figure carved from white marble, its features softened by time and the gentle touch of oil lamps from 1,000 forgotten ceremonies. The statue stands with absolute poise, its hand extended in a gesture of quiet welcome. It has witnessed a multitude of storms just like this one. It has seen countless travelers seek shelter beneath these roofs, and it remains perfectly calm, indifferent to the wind, untroubled by the rain. Its silence is contagious, settling over me like a heavy blanket. The thoughts in my mind, which had been swirling like the wind on the cliffs, begin to slow their movement. One by one, they lose their sharp edges, softening into vague, distant images before dissolving completely into the ambient sound of the storm. The need to understand, the need to plan for tomorrow, the need to remember yesterday, all of it melts away in the presence of this ancient stone. The present moment expands, becoming wide and deep, filling the entire space of my awareness with a profound, unshakable peace. The olive wood shifts in the brazier, settling deeper into the ash with a soft, musical crackle. A small puff of fragrant smoke rises, turning slowly in the warm air before disappearing into the high shadows above the beams. The heat surrounds me completely, soaking into my muscles, relaxing the tension that had held my back and limbs tight. During the long hours of travel, my hands, once stiff and numb from the cold coastal rain, are now completely warm, resting loosely upon the thick fabric of the blanket. Every part of my body feels wonderfully heavy, sinking gently toward the solid, supportive stone floor. The earth beneath this temple is ancient and firm, rooted deep into the heart of the mountain, and its immense strength flows up through the marble, anchoring me, holding me safe against the turning of the earth beneath the stars. The rain outside seems to change its tone, its fierce drumming softening into a steady, rhythmic hum that vibrates through the roof tiles. It is a lullaby sung by the sky, a continuous, unbroken whisper that promises that the storm will last for many hours more, ensuring that my rest will remain undisturbed until the dawn. The wind sighs through the column capitals high above, a soft, whistling melody that rises and falls with predictable, soothing regularity. Clink, pause, clink. A small bronze chain on a ceremonial vessel hanging near the altar sways, ever so gently in the ambient movement of the air, producing a tiny, clear sound that quickly disappears into the larger murmur of the night. It is a sound so delicate that it seems to emphasize the deep silence that fills the spaces between the columns. The darkness in the corners of the temple is soft and welcoming, a velvety shadow that invites the eyes to close and the mind to rest. I let my eyelids grow heavy, watching the flickering orange light through half-closed eyes. The flames dance in slow motion, casting long, elegant shapes that stretch across the floor and climb the towering stone pillars before gradually fading into the darkness above. The light is warm, protective, and eternal. A small sun kept alive in the heart of the night. 2. Guard those who seek refuge from the storm. The sound of the sea below has become a distant, soothing heartbeat, a regular pulse that connects me to the deep, timeless rhythms of the ancient earth. There is nothing separate from this moment. The storm, the sea, the stone walls, the glowing fire, and my own slow breathing are all part of the same quiet tapestry, moving together in perfect harmony, following a path that requires no effort and no thought. My heartbeat slows down further, aligning itself with the deep vibration of the thunder that echoes far away over the open water. The rumble is low and comforting, like the deep voice of an old friend, reassuring me that all is well, that the night is safe, and that the shelter will hold. I pull the wool blanket closer around my neck, feeling the absolute luxury of dryness, the incredible comfort of being entirely hidden away from the cold elements. The world outside can rage as much as it wishes. It can throw its waves against the cliffs and lash its rains against the stone. But within this sacred circle of firelight, its power is completely broken. It can only serve as a beautiful, wild background to my deep, effortless relaxation. The warmth of the brazier operates like a gentle hand, soothing away the final traces of alertness, smoothing the brow, and calming the senses until everything is still. The air carries the faint, nostalgic scent of old stone, honey wax from long extinct candles, and the continuous, earthy perfume of the burning olive wood. It is a scent that speaks of endurance, of sanctuary, of places that have waited through centuries just to provide comfort to a weary traveler on a stormy night. The shadows continue their slow, silent dance on the marble ceilings, drawing my consciousness deeper into a state of serene, weightless floating. My body feels as solid as the columns, yet my mind is as light as the smoke, drifting effortlessly upward into the calm dark. The grand doorway remains open to the night, but the rain has created a shimmering silver curtain that keeps the world at bay, a beautiful barrier of liquid light that seals the sanctuary from all intrusion. The entire cosmos seems to have shrunk down to this single, warm room, this glowing fire, and this absolute peace. Let your own thoughts fade along with the dying embers of the day. Let the heavy, rhythmic roar of the Aegean Sea wash over your mind, carrying away every lingering worry, every sharp memory, and every drop of tension into the deep, dark ocean of perfect sleep. The rain will continue to fall. The wind will continue to sing its ancient song through the columns, and the stone walls will keep you perfectly safe, perfectly dry, and perfectly protected throughout the long, quiet night. Sink deeper into the heavy blankets. Trust the strength of the ancient stone, and let the timeless current of the storm carry you gently, effortlessly into the deepest, most beautiful rest. The warmth of the blankets settles more deeply around me with every slow breath. They are thick, heavy, and wonderfully dry, carrying the quiet scent of old wool that has rested inside these stone walls for longer than memory seems able to reach. Beneath them I can still feel the solid floor of the sanctuary, smooth from countless years of silent footsteps, cool beneath its stored warmth, as though the marble itself has learned to cradle every weary traveler who has ever arrived during the restless hours of the night. I listen without trying to listen. I no longer search for sounds. They simply arrive, one after another, folding gently into each other until they become a single endless rhythm, a continuous wave of sound that pulls me deeper into the heavy stillness of the temple floor. The wool blankets press against my shoulders, trapping the dry heat of the nearby brazier and creating a perfect, unyielding barrier against the damp chill that lingers just beyond the threshold. Outside, the storm continues to gather itself, drawing in the cold air from the open sea, building its strength for another long assault on the high cliffs. The wind returns first. It no longer circles the sanctuary with quiet curiosity. Now it moves with enormous purpose, sweeping across the high cliff, racing through the marble colonnades, pouring between every ancient pillar until the entire temple seems to breathe with it. The sound is never sharp. It is a vast, low-frequency roar that fills the ears and settles deep in the chest. It rises slowly, swelling like the sea itself, filling every empty place between the stone walls before gradually fading again, only to begin once more with even greater weight. Each long breath of wind seems older than the stones around me, as though the mountains and the sea have repeated this same heavy conversation. Every winter, for thousands upon thousands of nights, never changing a single note of their dark, ancient song, I feel the wind brushing against the outside of the thick stone walls, its immense force deflected harmlessly away into the open sky above, leaving my small corner of warmth completely undisturbed. Rain follows close behind the rising gale. Heavy, massive drops strike the terracotta roof tiles in endless, rolling waves that sound like distant drums. Thousands of drops hit the clay every second. Then thousands more follow them in an unbroken line from the clouds. Each drop joins another until the separate sounds disappear completely, becoming one soft, dense curtain of white noise surrounding the sanctuary from every direction. Somewhere beyond the great doorway, water spills from the tiled roof in shining, heavy streams I cannot quite see in the dark. It falls from one carved stone edge to another, splashing against the lower steps before, disappearing into the blackness below the steep cliff. I imagine every single drop beginning its journey far above among the invisible, swirling clouds before completing its patient journey downward toward the waiting, restless sea. Another gust arrives. The great doorway fills with moving darkness. For a heartbeat, everything outside disappears beneath sheets of rain, so dense they resemble gray silk, suspended from the heavens. Then, without warning, the entire world flashes white. Lightning, not loud, not violent by itself, simply impossibly bright. The silver light pours through the entrance and stretches across the polished temple floor. Ancient statues, standing along the walls, awaken for a single, silent instant. Their calm faces shine like pale moonstone before retreating once more into amber. Shadow. Every carved fold of marble robes becomes visible, Every curve of every column briefly glows. Even the bronze brazier catches the sudden brilliance, reflecting it across the ceiling in trembling ribbons of light. Then darkness returns. Not complete darkness, only the familiar warmth of firelight. The brazier continues glowing exactly as before, entirely unconcerned with the brief interruption. Several long breaths pass before thunder finally arrives. It rolls across the sea with extraordinary patience. Far away, closer, closer still, until the sound reaches the cliffs beneath the sanctuary and settles deep inside the mountain itself. I do not hear the end of the thunder so much as feel it fading beneath me, absorbed by stone older than kingdoms, older than names, older perhaps than memory itself. The walls do not tremble. The floor does not move. The sanctuary simply receives the sound and, quietly, keeps it within its stone heart. I pull the blankets a little closer beneath my chin. Their weight becomes even more comforting. Outside there is movement without rest. Inside there is stillness without end. The contrast grows stronger with every passing moment. It feels impossible that both worlds exist at once. The storm belongs entirely to the cliffs, the sea, the clouds, and the wind. This warmth belongs entirely to the sanctuary. The bronze brazier rests only a few steps away. Its flames have become smaller now. Earlier they danced freely above fresh olive wood, sending bright tongues of gold upward into the darkness above. Now the fire has slowed. The wood has settled inward upon itself. Every log glows from deep within, crimson beneath soft gray ash. Occasionally, a tiny ember shifts almost invisibly, releasing a faint shower of orange sparks, no larger than drifting fireflies. Each tiny movement is followed by the gentlest crack. Not loud, not sudden, simply the quiet sound of wood becoming warmth. I find myself watching a single glowing ember resting near the center of the brazier. Its surface darkens, then slowly brightens again. Darkens, brightens, almost like breathing. It pulses so gradually that I cannot tell whether the ember changes first or whether my own, breathing quietly, follows its rhythm. Inhale, the ember glows. Exhale, its light softens. Inhale, warmth spreads through the blankets. Exhale, the storm drifts farther away. Time begins to loosen its grip. The dripping outside becomes clearer. Water has gathered along the edges of the roof. One drop falls. A pause, another drop. A slightly longer pause, then another. Each drop lands somewhere beyond the doorway where I cannot see it. Stone, perhaps, or another pool of rainwater. The sound repeats so faithfully that it feels less like dripping water and more like an ancient clock patiently measuring a night that has no need to hurry. Drop, silence, drop, silence, drop. Nothing changes. Nothing needs to change. The sanctuary asks for nothing except quiet attention. The scent inside grows richer. warm olive wood, pine resin, old wool, dry herbs stored somewhere within the temple walls. Perhaps thyme gathered from these same cliffs many summers ago. Perhaps lavender. Perhaps rosemary, carried here by travelers before me. The fragrances blend so completely that they lose their separate identities. Together, they become the smell of shelter itself. I breathe slowly. The warmth enters with every breath. The scent settles somewhere deeper than thought. My shoulders become heavier. My hands disappear completely beneath the blankets. Even the effort of keeping my eyes open begins to feel unnecessary. Outside, another flash of lightning arrives. This time, I see it only through closed eyelids. A gentle silver glow. Then, darkness. Then, distant thunder. Nothing more. The storm has reached its greatest strength. I somehow know this without needing to look. The wind sings through every marble column. Rain pours endlessly from heaven to sea. Waves hurl themselves against the cliffs far below with magnificent determination. Yet none of it enters here. The sanctuary remains untouched. The walls seem impossibly thick. Every stone carries centuries of quiet within it. Every column stands exactly where generations of careful hands placed it. Every statue watches without concern. Storms have always come. Storms have always gone. The temple simply remains. My breathing becomes slower. Thoughts begin arriving farther apart. One appears, then dissolves. Another appears. It too quietly disappears. Soon there are only sounds. Wind, rain, fire, dripping, water, breath. Nothing asks to be remembered. Nothing asks to be solved. Everything simply continues. Somewhere between one slow breath and the next, I realize I can no longer tell whether my eyes are closed because I chose to close them or because sleep has already begun its gentle work. The sanctuary fades without disappearing. The warmth remains. The blankets remain. The scent of pine remains. But something begins to soften around the edges. The sound of rain grows lighter. The thunder moves farther away. The crimson glow of the brazier becomes a distant star floating behind closed eyelids. Sleep approaches quietly. It does not arrive suddenly. It rises slowly like morning mist across calm water. I drift toward it, then through it, then beyond it, without noticing the exact moment when waking thought finally releases its gentle hold. When I open my eyes again, I am no longer inside the temple. Or perhaps I never truly left. The sea stretches before me, beneath bright afternoon sunlight. It is the Aegean, yet it feels untouched by time. The water is astonishingly clear. Light reaches all the way to the pale sand below, revealing smooth stones resting beneath gentle ripples that move with perfect patience. Every wave is small enough to fit within both hands. They arrive softly upon the shore before slipping away once more without hurry, leaving delicate lines of white foam that disappear almost as soon as they appear. The sky contains no clouds, only endless blue. The air carries quiet warmth instead of rain. I begin walking barefoot along the shoreline. The sand feels warm beneath my feet. Each step sinks slightly before the grains settle again, as though no one had passed. Tiny shells rest near the water's edge. Fragments of polished sea glass catch the sun. The waves continue there. Endless conversation with thee. Shore, forward, back, forward, back. Always the same. Always enough. There is no destination waiting ahead. No village. No harbor. No road. Only coastline. Only sea. Only sunlight. Olive trees grow upon gentle hills rising beyond the beach. Their silver-green leaves shimmer beneath the warm breeze. Somewhere within the groves, cicadas begin their steady song. The sound is continuous, soft, patient, neither beginning nor ending. Simply existing. The breeze moves through the branches. Leaves answer with delicate whispers. Together, the cicadas and the olive trees create another rhythm, another endless pattern, another quiet reminder that nothing here wishes to hurry. I walk until even the idea of counting my steps disappears. Time no longer separates one moment from another. Every breath belongs entirely to itself. The sunlight rests upon my shoulders, like another blanket, warm, weightless, comforting. The sea continues breathing. The olive trees continue whispering. The cicadas continue humming. I sit beside the water. The smallest wave reaches my feet. Cool, clear, then gently retreats. Another arrives. Another leaves. Soon, I no longer know where my breathing ends and the waves begin. Thoughts dissolve. They become lighter than sea foam. One by one, they melt into the bright water. Names drift away. Journeys drift away. Questions drift away. Even memory becomes unnecessary. Only warmth remains. Only light. Only the slow rhythm of water meeting shore. The sea seems to stretch forever without loneliness. Its quiet fills every empty place. Far out upon the horizon, sunlight dances across tiny ripples until the entire surface appears woven from moving silver threads. Nothing disturbs it. No storm, no wind, only gentle motion without effort. The ancient world rests around me exactly as it has rested for centuries. White stones warmed by the afternoon sun, olive branches bending softly, distant hills fading into blue, the endless breathing of the sea. Everything belongs exactly where it is. Nothing wishes to become something else. I lie upon the warm sand. Above me, the olive branches sway. Their shadows move slowly across my face. Light, shade. Light, shade. The pattern repeats again and again until even sunlight seems to breathe. The scent of thyme drifts across the hillside. Bees hum lazily among tiny flowers hidden between stones. Somewhere nearby, fresh water trickles from a spring too gentle to see. Its quiet music joins the waves, joins the breeze, joins the cicadas. Every sound belongs together. Every sound supports every other sound. Nothing competes. Nothing interrupts. The dream grows softer still. Its colors become warmer. Its edges blur. The sea shines brighter. The sky grows deeper. The waves become quieter than whispers. The sunlight slowly transforms into another kind of warmth. A familiar warmth. A warmer warmth. The warmth of glowing embers. The scent of salt slowly mingles with pine resin. The breeze gradually becomes cooler. The hum of cicadas gently fades until only a distant memory remains. Without opening my eyes inside the dream, I somehow understand that I am returning. Not suddenly, not unwillingly, simply drifting back across an invisible tide. The warmth of the blankets greets me. First, heavy, dry, safe. Then comes the scent of old wool, then pine, then olive wood. The dream sea recedes like the gentlest wave. Its rhythm remains somewhere deep inside my breathing. I am once again within the sanctuary. The storm still exists, but it has changed. The wind no longer howls. Now it whispers. Rain no longer pounds upon the roof. Now it falls with quiet persistence. The thunder has wandered far across the sea, perhaps toward another distant shore, perhaps into another sleeping night. The brazier has settled into deep crimson ash. Only a handful of hidden embers continue glowing beneath soft gray layers. Their light barely reaches the nearest stones. Yet it is enough. Enough to keep the darkness warm. Enough to remind the sanctuary that morning will eventually come. The dripping from the roof continues. Drop, pause, drop, pause, drop. The ancient clock has never hurried. It never will. The temple breathes quietly around me. The statues stand in patient silence. The marble holds the memory of warmth. The sea murmurs below the cliffs. The blankets remain heavy. My breathing remains slow. The final ember gives one tiny pulse of red before settling, deeper beneath its blanket of ash. Nothing asks to be done. Nothing asks to be remembered. The night grows softer. The sea grows quieter. The sanctuary grows deeper. And within its timeless stillness, every remaining thought fades gently away, dissolving into warmth, into stone, until only perfect rest remains. The deepest, heaviest part of the night gradually begins to shift, moving away so silently that even the ancient stones of the temple seem to hold their breath in anticipation. The violent storm that had ruled the cliffs and the Aegean Sea for so many hours has finally spent its immense fury, leaving behind a vast, unmoving quiet. The wind no longer howls or rages through the grand entrance. It has softened into a low, gentle sigh that barely moves the air between the massive marble columns. Instead of the fierce, pounding rain, a new element begins to wake in the dark. A thick, silver sea mist starts to rise from the surface of the water far below, slowly crawling up the steep sides of the cliffs like a soft, living blanket. It moves with perfect patience, flowing over the worn stone steps and gently drifting into the sanctuary through The wide open doorway. The mist does not feel cold or damp. It arrives as a protective, silent cloud, wrapping itself around the bases of the white pillars and softly softening the sharp edges of the shadows. I stir lazily beneath the heavy wool blankets, feeling the incredible luxury of absolute stillness that now fills the temple. The world outside has become perfectly calm, as though the storm had washed away every sound, every movement, and every trace of friction from the surface of the earth. The bronze brazier near my feet is no longer burning with bright, golden flames. It has settled into a deep, thick bed of pale gray ash, beneath which a few remaining embers continue to pulse with a faint, warm crimson light. The air inside the sanctuary carries the calm, heavy scent of the cooling wood mixed with the gentle, clean smell of the sea fog that now floats quietly along the polished stone floor. There is no reason to move, no necessity to open my eyes fully, no path that requires my presence in the dawning world. Every muscle in my body feels wonderfully dense and heavy, completely anchored to the solid, supportive stone beneath me, safely wrapped in the dry warmth of the wool. I watch a single strand of silver mist drift slowly past the nearest marble statue, its form blurring slightly in the dim light before disappearing into the deep shadows of the high ceiling. The silence of the temple is absolute and profound, a thick, comforting barrier that completely isolates me from the passage of time. The dripping from the terracotta roof tiles has slowed to a rare, distant murmur, each drop falling with an immense pause between it and the next, sounding like a tired heartbeat that is slowly drifting off to sleep, drop, and then a long, beautiful silence that stretches out for many breaths. Drop, and the world sinks deeper into the quiet. The ancient walls of the sanctuary stand as firm and unyielding as they have for centuries, holding the coldness of the world at bay, preserving this small, sacred pocket of total rest for the weary traveler, moving with slow, deliberate movements that require no effort at all. I reach out a hand from beneath the blanket and touch the smooth surface of a small, bronze vessel resting on the stone altar platform near the brazier. The water inside it, placed there before the storm reached its peak, has gathered the remaining heat of the stone and the dying fire, warming itself through the long hours of the night. I lift it slowly, breathing in the soft, rising steam that carries the rich, earthy fragrance of dried mountain mint and a faint hint of wild heather honey. The scent is incredibly grounding, filling my chest with a deep, soothing warmth that echoes the physical heat of the blankets. I hold the metal vessel between my hands, letting the smooth warmth soak directly into my skin, smoothing away the last remaining traces of tension from my fingers. Every small action in this quiet room feels like an ancient, sacred ritual dedicated entirely to peace and rest. Outside the great doorway, the sky is beginning its slowest transformation, shifting almost imperceptibly from the absolute black of midnight into a deep, velvet indigo The distant horizon, where the sea meets the heavens, is still hidden beneath the thick curtain of silver mist. But the quality of the darkness is changing, becoming softer, lighter, and more transparent. The sea, far below, no longer crashes against the cliffs with magnificent fury. The waves have returned to their regular, gentle rhythm, lapping softly against the rocks with a low, mechanical murmur that sounds like a continuous whisper, forward and back, regular and steady, an eternal lullaby that has comforted the earth since the beginning of time. The mist continues to flow into the temple, creating a beautiful, soft atmosphere where the floor seems to float upon clouds, and the statues look like ancient guardians watching over a dream world that has no boundaries. I take a slow, quiet breath of the herbal steam, letting the warmth spread through my body before resting my head back down onto the dry fabric of the cloak. The bronze vessel rests safely beside me, its heat radiating outward into the cool air of the dawn. The glowing embers beneath the gray ash give one final, beautiful pulse of deep red light, as though acknowledging the approach of the new day before, retreating further into their peaceful rest. The shadows on the marble walls have stopped their dancing. They now hang in long, elegant curtains of deep blue and soft gray, perfectly still, perfectly quiet. My mind feels as clear and calm as the still water of a mountain spring, free of thoughts, free of memories, entirely contained within the immense comfort of this single present moment. The deep indigo of the sky gradually softens further, dissolving into a beautiful, pale lavender line that stretches across the furthest edge of the eastern sea. The first light of the approaching dawn is incredibly gentle, a soft, cool glow that filters through the silver mist and touches the tops of the marble columns with pale violet light. It does not disturb the darkness of the temple. It merely illuminates the silence, revealing the ancient strength of the stones and the perfect poise of the carved figures. In their alcoves, the world outside is caught in a state of absolute suspension, a holy moment of transition where the night has ended, but the day has not yet truly begun. There are no birds singing yet, no wind moving through the olive groves on the hills, no footsteps on the distant paths. Only the vast, breathing sea and the thick, protective cloud of fog that seals the sanctuary from all the noise of the living world. I look at the pale lavender light through half-closed eyes, feeling a profound sense of gratitude for the safety of this ancient shelter. The storm that had seemed so loud and dangerous a few hours ago has left nothing behind but a clean, renewed world, washed free of all its dust and weariness. The columns stand exactly where careful hands placed them generations ago, their surfaces glowing with the faint, cold light of the morning mist. They have held up the heavy roof through thousands of winters, and they will continue to stand long after this morning has passed into memory. Their endurance settles into my own spirit, giving me a deep, unshakable sense of security that allows my body to sink even deeper into the supportive floor, entirely relaxed entirely at peace. The weight of the heavy wool blankets feels like the protective hand of the temple itself, holding me safe against the turning of the earth beneath the fading stars. The warmth of the herbal tea and the steady heat of my own breath create a small, perfect circle of comfort beneath the blanket. The sky outside continues to shift, the lavender lines slowly widening into a soft, pale rose color that reflects beautifully on the wet surfaces of the stones outside the entrance. The silver mist catches the color, glowing with a faint inner light that makes the entire landscape look like a painting made of silence and air. The rhythm of the sea below remains unchanged, a steady, low hum that serves as the background to my deep relaxation, pulling my awareness further away from the waking world and closer to the soft edge of a final, deep morning sleep. The soft rose light on the horizon slowly expands, turning the edges of the mist into shimmering, silver threads that float lazily. Across the grand doorway, the deepest peace of the morning has arrived, a heavy, irresistible wave of sleep that flows from the ancient stone and the quiet sea directly into my consciousness. I allow my eyelids to close completely, shutting out the changing colors of the sky, returning to the familiar warm darkness within the blankets. The scent of pine resin, old wool, and dried mountain mint remains as rich and comforting as before, a familiar fragrance that signals to my mind that the journey is over, the shelter is perfect, and the rest is complete. There are no more thoughts arriving in the quiet halls of my brain. They have all dissolved into the timeless rhythm of the waves below and the slow, steady movement of the silver fog. The temple breathes around me in perfect harmony with my own slow breath. Inhale, and the warmth fills my chest. Exhale, and the world drifts farther away into the soft mist. The columns, the statues, the bronze brazier, and the sea all fade into a single, beautiful impression of absolute safety, a sacred haven where no worry can enter and no stress can remain. The night has passed. The storm has gone, and the sanctuary has kept its promise to protect the weary traveler through the darkest hours. You can release the final traces of attention now, letting your mind drift away along with the silver fog that floats out over the calm waters of the Aegean Sea. The stone walls will hold, the blankets will remain warm, and the ancient peace of this holy place will guard your rest until the sun is high in the sky. Sink down into the deepest layers of the heavy wool. Trust the immense strength of the mountain beneath you, and let yourself dissolve entirely into the beautiful, unhurried silence of the ancient temple. The day will wait, the world will wait, and nothing is required of you except to rest. Let the slow heartbeat of the sea carry you gently across the final border into the deepest, most beautiful sleep where there is only warmth, only stone, and the endless whisper of the quiet morning rain. Sleep. Let go of the world. Sleep.